What's up? How's it going? This is redo. Hi, this is Earl, aka JT, with 13 Rings NFC East podcast, presenting you to the first time ever Dallas Barbershop.
Hang on, Earl. It's you just said 13 rings NFC East. It's an NFC East podcast. You got to make sure we have the "and" in there. Start from
Thought I said NFC.
an NFC East. The "and" is important.
And NFC
Yeah,
and NFC East podcast.
yeah. It's not just NFC East podcast, and it's an NFC East podcast. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go try to start from the top.
Okay. Round 3. Hi, this is Earl, aka JT, with 13 Rings and NFC East podcast, presenting you to the first time Dallas Barbershop Talk with JT, presenting uh, fudge.
Try it again.
Round 4. Round 4. Hi, this is Earl, aka JT, with 13 Rings at an NFC East podcast, presenting you to the first time ever Dallas Barbershop Talk with presented by 13 Rings and NFC East podcast. So you're probably wondering why I'm on this podcast alone, right? That's because we have. So you're probably wondering why I'm on this podcast alone, right? That's because we at 13 Rings wanted to not only give you NFL,
NFC East.
right? So you're probably wondering why I'm on this podcast alone, right? That's because we at 13 Rings wanted to not only give you NFC East content, but team specific content as well. That means
Say
that every
say that line again. Sorry.
no, you're good. All right. That's because we at 13 Rings wanted to not only give you NFC East content, but specific content as well. That means that every once in a while, one of us will jump on here to talk about team oriented content, whether it's Lucas with the Commanders, aka Football Wizards, Mal with the Giants, or Maurice with the Eagles, or your boy JT here with them Cowboys. So, with that being said, let's get into this first episode of Dallas Barbershop Talk with JT. The reason I'm up here is that I've been wondering what's been going on with the Dallas run game this season. It's to a point now that the more and more I'm looking at what Dallas is accomplishing this season is that they had a late bloomer start when it came to running the football. And I was at a point just trying to figure out, man, why is this thing happening? Like, why am I constantly seeing a team not running the football where you got running backs on the team, but they're getting attempts? One thing that I also thought about this just over the coming weeks was I started seeing a progression on how the team was going with running the football. And after playing against the Carolina Panthers, this was the most rushing attempts they had in a season. And it's just to the point now that I'm just wondering why with the late start. And, and one of my colleagues, or pretty much all my colleagues, was just wondering why it seemed like Dallas run game hasn't been getting started. You're thinking it's due to the passing of it being a passing team. You're probably right with that. But your starting quarterback is out for the season with a torn hamstring. So what's the excuse now of not running the football? And I came to the conclusion that what if I told you that blaming the backs isn't the problem, but blaming the running backs coach before the season actually started, saying that he wanted to have a running back room committee where everybody can get a chance to touch the football and run the rock. Now, to you all Cowboy fans, do you feel like every running back fully got their attempts, seeing where you can evaluate these guys on their and especially as being the running backs on the Dallas Cowboys? I can say you can't because they really didn't get all the attempts that they needed. And where one player, Ezekiel Elliott, has been on this team for the past 8 years and he's returned, he hasn't been getting his reps. It's been going to Rico. Rico has been playing great, but there was a point Zeke had the touches and then it just slightly oddly just decreased his attempts and shifted it to Rico. We haven't seen Deuce Vaughn in the last 8 to 9 weeks. You're like, what's going on? And then the most important is what's hurting me most. I haven't seen Hunter Lupke out there, and he supposedly is a kind of a double-edged sword between a fullback and a H back tight end. Haven't seen him, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And shout out to Boss Cowboy Sports, DMV, and AMP on cracking the problem. It all started back at a timestamp in August during the time of training camp. The running back coach, Jeff Blasco, these were his words. When they asked him about the running back by committee this season, he says, and I quote, feels like everybody across the league kind of operates that way. Apparently, that's a lie. He also says we're probably making too big of a deal of it. Are we? Nah, I can't accept that. When I see that you have guys that can run the football and you decide not to run it at the beginning, knowing that you have a running back room that needs a running line, which you have, and you fail to implement running just by committee, no, this guy Jeff Velasco, he is not it. And I really think after Dallas let go Skip Pete, that was one of the biggest things that really hurt this team, especially being a running backs coach that pretty much worked with Ezekiel Elliott through his college time through the NFL. And then you have Rico Dowdle, first time he's been fully healthy and playing like he deserves to have that number one spot. But I don't understand why you can't split the carries with Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle. You can even add Deuce Vaughn into that mix where you're trying to give all these running backs 17 attempts, but you still have CeeDee Lamb taking snaps in the backfield as well. So that cuts into the running attempts for the actual running backs. It just doesn't make sense. And the more and more that I was just trying to figure out the problem, I was pushing it towards the Joneses, because they are a part of it. And that's another can of worms that I'll get to at a later time, where they're actually in the coaching rooms, especially with the evaluating the players into the team scheme of things. They honestly don't know football. So I'm just trying to figure out why they're not like doing their owner and general manager duties, but sitting in the room while they're working, trying to get the players ready for the next game. It just doesn't make sense. Man, yeah. The reason is Jeff Blasco. And with him trying to operate this under a running back by committee, he's the wrong dude for the job to make this happen. They asked him back during that time in August about how he felt about Ezekiel Elliott. He just gave some generic manila answers where he is basically saying that he doesn't know what to tell Ezekiel Elliott. He feels like he achieved all his stuff, but it's still room for improvement, room for growth within the player, especially Ezekiel Elliott, because I still think he has enough juice left in the tank. I just believe Jeff Blasco is not the answer at running back coach, and Dallas definitely need to evaluate this man, especially with the running back committee situation, because it's only been the Rico show the last couple of weeks, and especially in that Bengals game, Rico, he was feeling it. I just wish they continued to give him the rock because it seemed like he was getting stronger as the game went on. They learned that lesson at the end of that Bengals game, especially through the masses. And now in this Panthers game that they just had, Rico was balling. Zeke was too. But I just wish there was a common world, especially for Dallas. I really hope Jerry Jones can hear this because running the ball is the way. And I feel like Dallas has lost their way when it came to running the football, where they made it something that it was their main focal point to get the 3 rings that they did in the 90s and just shifted that over the last couple of years. And I can also put some blame on that on Stephen Jones as well, where you wanted to see what Dak can do throwing the football to the point that you really manipulated this dude's brain into throwing the ball more than he should be. Knowing that he is a play action quarterback, you fail to realize that you're not utilizing and maximizing the best ability of your players just because y'all trying to fit an image that you know football. And that's not the way to go. That's not how you're going to handle it. And that's for darn sure not what you're going to have the coaches do because y'all pretty much neutered the coaches. And for that, I believe Mike McCarthy deserves another shot because give him the reins to run these things because I feel like this season he didn't have that chance. The Joneses was meddling. And Cowboys Nation, I really hope that you can understand that having Ezekiel Elliott there alongside Rico Dowdle and both of them splitting the carries, both can eat. If you want to throw Deuce Vaughn in there too, he can eat as well. I'm very interested to see what Deuce Vaughn could do this offensive line that's really just playing bully ball, something that Dallas pretty much had in their DNA and just lost their way for it. You got a tease of it coming back. Hopefully, they're able to keep that because it feels like the league is shifting to running the ball, and the last few champions that's been in the league been running the football. So, Dallas Cowboys Nation, just into these Joneses to the point to have them know what they're doing is wrong by not running the football more often. I really would want to know, and I want to send this message to Dak. I really want to know how you feel about how this running formula has been going, because I believe this is going to help you get to where you need to go, and it's also going to help this team to get to where they need to go. Running the football, the defense is playing very well when you're running the football. You're controlling the TOP, time of possession. Yeah, it's just I really need to get this out. Hey Lucas, I know you're listening on the back end. What do you think of what I've been talking about?
Hey, everybody. I'll just say that, and I don't want to chime in too much because we save this for our main episodes, but I will say that I believe that Dowdle has shown the last couple weeks that he can handle a big workload, and I think that it comes down to play calling because they want to go to Dak because they paid him the big money, and so I think we're on the same page there.
Agreed. Yeah. And I really hope Dak is seeing how this team is playing, especially with running the football, to at least trigger something to be like, yo, why can't y'all run the ball like that with me? And over time, I've seen say this, and I think I can conclude the last couple of seasons where we had a running back committee, especially back before we drafted Ezekiel Elliott. It was a running back by committee. And Darren McFadden was basically the main focal point of that running back room, but yet we still got a top dog at running back. Maybe we might see some shades of that this season. I know everybody's kind of looking into Ashton Genty from Boise State. Possibility he could fall to us, but there's also other running backs along the way that could actually do as much as what Genty can do. Bigger physical guys. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. He's a nice running back. I mean, doesn't have like the burst like you would want him to, but he has the agile and the physicalness that's there. Or Caleb Johnson from Iowa. That dude is kind of a baby Derrick Henry. He's got speed, he's got power. He would be a nice fit to compare with Rico. Just know Rico is not a number one back. He cannot carry the load by himself. You need to give him a component. He's Luigi right now. We need a Mario. We need a 1-2 punch. Get that in the draft. I'm tired of you trading away picks for guys just to try to see like you know what you're trying to do. Right now, we have no fourth round pick the last 2 seasons because Jerry figured, hey, we're going to get a quarterback that can compete with that. At Cowboys Nation, how's the Trey Lance thing going? Cooper Rush is our backup quarterback. He is keeping us in these games, even with his noodle arm. Lance really hasn't touched the field. So the fourth round pick burned down the toilet. And then you trade for Jonathan Mingo, Cowboys Nation. What has Jonathan Mingo done since he's been in Dallas? Another fourth round pick burned down the toilet. At least with one of these top 3 picks, go get your running back, Dallas. There are guys out there that really can be a component with Rico. But I also want Rico to get his money. Keep doing your thing, dog. And another running back that I think could work with Dallas is Devin Neal from Kansas. But yeah, Cowboys Nation, let us know what you think, especially with how things are going with this team, especially with the running back room and just seeing that Jeff oh Lord, I messed up his name. Jeff Blasco. And do you feel like he's the running back coach that can get Dallas where they need to go, especially in the running back room? I don't think so. This dude need to be fired. He's been here for far too long. All right, y'all. This is the conclusion of the Dallas Barbershop talk with JT.